So we do a housing program, right? And we rent apartments, and this is a normal, we don't own this building.
Right.
You don't own, right? We don't own
Sure
this
don't.
building. We just apply like any other person.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to do that, right? Randy did too.
Right.
So what did that look like?
Well, when I sit down and talk with clients, I ask them where they want to live, if they have any ideas about places that they know already, if there are zip codes they know they want to live in, or parts of town that they like more than others. And then we kind of do a search together. So there are some landlords that we may already work with. There are some landlords that they may have connections with. For Park Chateau, he had to complete his own application and be accepted to that apartment building based on their application. Some landlords are willing to be a little bit more flexible with us once they learn more about the program, or they'll have someone fill out an application, but if knowing that they might not have a past rental history, if they are willing to talk with me and I can explain some about the program, and they know that the client is going to get support, or the resident is going to get support, they're willing to work with us.
Yeah, I love talking with landlords. Yeah, for just that reason. Like I think landlords, they're business people, right? And I think all leases have to be good business for them. But and so we want our program at least to be good business for them. When you talked to Sarah, do you remember that first conversation? And can you like sort of share what it was like?
Well, I went to Sarah's office and I introduced myself, and I told her I was informed that she was the person to see, you know, as far as help with housing.
So it sounds like the requirement, what you had to sort of prove to Sarah, right, to be eligible for the housing program, is that I had been homeless, a disabling condition.
Yes.
And that you were
homeless for a number of years.
All right. Were there any other things that Sarah's sort of made you do, or that you felt were like a requirement to get in this program?
Not much more than that. You know, from that point on, it got the ball rolling, and it was just keeping in touch with her.
All right. And you mentioned that when you were homeless that you did drink. And after you met Sarah, what did your drinking look like after you met Sarah? And did it change at all, or
well, not right away. I mean, it helped, because Sarah and St. John's Center gave me something to look forward to that I didn't have before.
And we both share the same goal, which is that you get to keep staying in housing, and so it's just always about that open communication.
That's right, exactly.
And one thing that the caseworkers and I were looking over the past month is that we haven't had any evictions in the past year. We've had people who've moved, but we have a relationship between landlords and clients and us, where if a situation is coming up, we can talk about it, we can try and work through it before an eviction happens, or we can say, this might not be the right place for you, let's move, but let's do that without having to go to court, without having to go through that whole process.
In the traditional model, oftentimes people get screened out because they're not housing ready. In Housing First, oftentimes people get screened in because they have maybe a lot of issues or a lot of needs. How do you feel about that? Does it make it more challenging for you?
I think maybe it makes it more challenging in the explaining it to other people, in the talking to landlords initially. If someone wants to see someone's police record, they might say, you want to work with this person? Why, but in the end it makes it easier because it establishes that level of trust. People feel accepted automatically because they've been thrown out of everything else.
Sometimes people are critical of Housing First, related to substance use, and because we don't require people to be abstinent, and a person can maybe drink heavily, and we don't kick them out of their housing. Sometimes we get accused of encouraging substance use, or certainly enabling substance use. What are some thoughts you have about that?
I think that, just on the basic level, anyone in any apartment all over the country can drink as much or as little as they want, and as long as they're not breaking the law or breaking their lease, they're doing the same thing. And that's what the right we give people, that we're not holding that over their heads. Getting someone in housing, as Randy talked about, relieves some of the stress and some of the pressure and the weight of homelessness and that stress, and that often can encourage change. I've been amazed, and not every story is a great success story, but I've been working with someone he's been in housing almost coming on 4 years now, and just last month he decided After 4 years, it's time to go get treatment. And so he went to the VA and went into the recovery program. And it's something new he's trying, but it took 4 years of having a conversation once a month.
I think it's the right model for the clients that we see at St. John Center. We see a lot of chronically homeless men who need consistent and long-term support, who have sometimes the hardest guy to work with is the guy who's given up hope that he could ever have a place of his own because he's tried so many times and it hasn't worked out for a number of reasons. Runs out of money or ends up not being a good neighbor the first time around. And so there's a lot to learn about living in an apartment and being a good neighbor and paying your rent and being able to do the things that you and I would have to do to keep a lease. So having the case manager support committed to that individual can really help them weather bumps in the road. And that's what we have invested in and determined that really is a big help. Staff would say to me early on, you know, oh, that's setting him up for failure. Why would you do that? He can't make it. It's wrong, in fact. Like, people had an ethical dilemma. You can't put him in housing. He'll never make it. That's just setting him up for failure. And over, the men prove that wrong, and they succeed beautifully. It does put a traditional model on its head, and folks felt ready to try because the other model had proven a number of times to be unsuccessful with the men that we saw. And the challenge for the case managers that I've witnessed is that it requires lots of creativity, and it can require sometimes really digging, you know, to the depths of your heart or soul or whatever, and try to figure out a new and creative approach. And situations are different every day, so it's not cookie cutter.
What was it like before you had your apartment?
Cold.
Cold.
It was cold.
Yeah.
And I had to be out of where I was at early in the morning, and I couldn't go back till late at night, and it makes for a long day with nothing to do except just find somewhere to be out of the cold. That's what it was like.
And you successfully paid your rent twice
Mm-hmm.
on your own.
Yeah.
That's good. What did you think about the group you went to this week?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely going to that group.
The life skills group?
Life skills, yeah. It was exactly what I thought it would be.
Okay. Well, you know that the topic's changing the next week, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're doing cooking.
Cooking.
Yeah.
And we're going to make a cookbook.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. So you want to get plugged into the doctors here?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some things that you want to have checked out or work on?
Just get physical. Just a regular old yearly thing. I don't know if I should go see mental health doctors or not. Not yet, I don't think. If I start getting all depressed and not wanting to go out and go to the groups and not actually going, and then I'll probably have to see the doctors.
So you feel like right now you're okay?
Right now I'm okay. So everything's new, you know. After the thrill wears off, maybe I might not even want to go out anymore to see anybody. Then we'll see the doctor.
Does anything like stand out to you, Melissa, like from in terms of how we do the housing program, say from the survey to you know, people following up with you, or
just mostly how constant you are, and you know how connected that y'all stayed with me.
That was helpful?
It was the only way I could get it done, yeah. I mean, if you guys just forgot about me, I would have just been still where I was.
Had you ever tried to get back into housing before?
No.
Why,
nothing more than filling out the application for Section 8, nothing more than that. I ain't tried to, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did you ever try to approach shelters and ask about housing, or?
No. They're so overworked with so many other people that I just ain't gonna get what I need from them. And so it just wasn't even a thought in my mind to get help from a shelter. That's my TV and my chairs, and there's a microwave and stuff. Good? Go ahead. Oh, more. Here's my table, and that. And there's a bathroom right there. See? Bathroom.
I think it takes a special type of person to do this work. We all come to understand that it is about the client, you know, that's what, to me, is what makes the difference. What makes relationships work, the team relationships work with caseworkers and the case managers and the peers, is just having open communication.
You signed your lease June 3rd, 2008. You were the first person in our Housing First program.
First apartment, once I was in it, I didn't want it. I felt like I was caged. I mean, I'd wear the carpet out between the back window and the front door, looking out the windows. I mean, I don't know, I felt trapped. It's like culture shock or whatever you call it, I don't know. And then I went from one extreme to another. I went to where I was almost like borderline agoraphobic. I wouldn't go out the door. I actually had people showing up and checking on me, make sure I had food, because at one point I sat there for 4 days with no food. And had money to get food. Store right there.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't go outside that door.
It's kind of a, Housing First is kind of a flexible thing. So if you have some bumps in the road, or if you, right, or if you get a little uncomfortable in your apartment and you need to, you choose to go back out and camp for a while, we're gonna hang in there with you. And your apartment is gonna be right there for you when you come, and you took advantage of that.
Yeah, as it turns out, that's exactly what happened.
You know, because some programs could have said, Mike, you know, you left your apartment, you know,
right.
that's a violation of the rules, we're gonna kick you out. And then you would have been right back where you were.
There's been many times I came in and I said it to you in the beginning, you know, I'd take it, I don't want it. And I'd have 15 different people trying to talk me into staying. Looking back on it now, I mean, I'm glad I did, of course, but at the time I just wasn't comfortable. There's been a lot of people here, man, that just bend over backwards to do anything in the world they can to help you in any way they can.
Take a whole team to help one person, even though like my focus is on housing. It takes our mental health team for one of my clients who they have to get his meds, you know, his meds correct to where he's able to take his meds, which he wants to, so that he's stable, so that he's at a baseline where he's able to, you know, kind of enjoy life without all the other things that come with his mental health, I guess, mental health battle that he goes through. I think for our program, you have to be wholeheartedly, like you have to wholeheartedly believe in harm reduction, because if you come in with a treatment first mindset, your clients are gonna close off to you, because if you're telling them you have to quit drinking, like you have to make this choice, they're not gonna wanna talk to you and they're not gonna wanna open up, and then it makes it more difficult for you to work with them. One of the things for me, like I feel like I have to have patience, because I have clients who will say that they want to get better, and these are all the reasons why they want to get better, but yet they're not necessarily taking all the steps that we learn in schooling that they need to be taking to do it. So in order to, I think, be effective and just be a social worker in this field, you have to have patience. You have to be able to talk to your clients and without feeling like you're putting pressure on them, and that you have to be very non-judgmental of the things that they're doing. Working with this population, you have to have a certain mindset, because you have to be able to see the little things as progress. Like, you know, maybe this person, when they first came in, they were drinking, you know, 6-pack, you know, like 3 6-packs a day, but now they're only drinking 2. Like, that's a huge accomplishment for them. So I think that having that mindset and being able to congratulate them and let them know that, you know, that's a step forward is important. I think that that's what I like the most about working in a Housing First, is that it's just it's a more intimate professional relationship than in other fields.
People deserve housing. It should be a right. It's something that to deal with the things that are going on, and takes them out of a setting where they're dealing with just those primary basic needs of where am I going to sleep, what am I going to eat, how do I get through the rain today. And you just went up and visited your brother.
Yes,
not too long ago, right?
yes, I'm originally from Cincinnati, and I visit my brother, and I mean, it's been wonderful because I can tell him now, hey, here's my address.
And when you were homeless, remember back when you were homeless?
Yeah.
Do you know that you're not homeless anymore?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. It'll click in. Yeah.